Persia sits with a measure of its power and prestige finally restored, as its new friends in Europe and internal reform have created opportunity. It is now 11 years since Muhammad Shah came to power, with his energy and vision having transformed the country alongside his Grand Vizier Mirza Abdul Hassan. The religious leader has reformed his country hand in hand with his faith, as although there are now schools in every town, they teach both religion and science. The Russians in our north continue to grow in power, and the dream of our Caucasus territories being returned grows fainter by the day. Though for now the border is stable, and trade has organically begun to flow once more between the two rivals. Iran's economy is rapidly growing as investment from Western trade partners and the booming opium industry gives the country a massive influx of funds. For many, this is an achievement, but many more know well the price is extremely high, as opium dens continue to make more addicts by the day. A growing movement is also appearing across Iran and the Ottoman Empire, calling for Islamic solidarity and reform. The Ottoman Sultan has expressed an openness to their ideas, but the Shah in Tehran rejects their notions utterly. Rumor has it, he is also becoming more and more consumed by opium himself, and the Grand Vizier handles almost all governmental affairs. Perhaps the rapid growth of our nation will in the end be its undoing, or simply a road bump on the path back to greatness. This is the second episode of a Victoria 3 roleplay multiplayer game. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Do you actually is your navy good to go now?
My navy is good to go, but looking at something I have noticed that yes, I do have a arms industry deficit.
You just need to land. If you can land, the Iranian military can handle the rest of it, but you just need to get a beachhead, because we can't do anything until that happens. The Iranian military is just sitting on the coastline in Laristan waiting for that beachhead. Your viewpoint on it. Oh, an engagement with the Omani Navy. Ramming maneuver.
That won't work. Don't worry, we can deal with it.
All right, the attempt to get colonial exploitation has failed. Appears you're getting pushed back again.
Oh, the 2 landings.
Oh, the other one's gonna succeed. There we go.
Yes,
we're on our way.
He stayed.
We're on our way. Good, we got the beach hold.
Who are you?
Hold the line, General. We're on our way.
I'm gonna promote you, Albert, because you. I'll let you do the pushing. You can have the glory of taking the capital.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm taking personal commands. You know, I haven't been in a war since I fought those Russian dogs in the Caucasus. It was many years ago. Frankly, they're still unwilling to surrender, though. Very odd. They won't fight us in a battle, but they won't stand down either. Perhaps they think the desert will protect them, so. Wonderful. We've succeeded. Yeah, we're about to go to war with Egypt. There's a coalition war right now. Egypt is under the influence of a warlord who's basically done nothing but conquer since he took power. Muhammad Ali, specifically. I think it's the one. He's 78. I think that's him. He's jingoist, so he conquered a bunch. He gave up his holdings in Ethiopia, but he still holds large territories in Arabia. Let's work on a paper mill. Let's go ahead and build... We already built the shipyards, but I think we need another, so we'll build a second shipyard. We are going to build a navy too, so that just in the long term benefits Iran massively. And then the other thing we need a lot of is furniture. Now this we could import. That would be an option. Let's actually see how much we can import. We'll import some British furniture. And then we will produce a little bit of our own as well. I'm going to go ahead and raise taxes again. And then I'm going to get us to have a larger capacity for construction. We'll build 2 more construction yards. Our literacy rate we need to increase. Now, if we get another bureaucratic center put in place, we can go ahead and up our education, which we would definitely do. Obviously, the Shah was actually fairly religious, so more religious schooling would definitely be a big priority for him. We can't do that until we can build more bureaucratic centers. We lost a tech for bureaucracy. One of the bugs that happened with save files that are older after the recent update for Vicky 3 is everyone lost bureaucracy, so everyone in the game has to re-research it. All right, what do we want to work on for production tech? At this point, I think water tube boiler would be nice. Can we actually get coal? Yeah, we have a lot of coal mines, so I think water tube boiler will be our next one. That'll obviously give us access to condensed engine pumps for all of our mines, of which we have a lot of iron mines. So that would be huge for us. We'll prioritize that. And then probably we'll want to go for railways. We're wanting to modernize. We have done a large amount of modernization, and obviously railways, which are just sweeping across Europe and showing their power, would be a huge priority to us. Our Grand Vizier spent a lot of time in Europe historically. Small communities of fugitive slaves hidden away in the remote areas of Khorasan have become targets of local slaveholders, fearing that they could assist in potential uprisings. Russia is fully at war with the Kazakh tribesmen now, and they are conquering them. Obviously, it's not much of an issue. Okay, let's go ahead and secure another level of education. The Shah is kind of just preparing the military. We've failed to reform it multiple times. The Khans within Iran itself, Khans and local governors who maintain large, like basically troops of their own, have basically refused our military reform. So he's continuing to work on that. Not very successfully. The landowners really oppose it, so we need to actually start working against them at this point. Now, we have the ability to do a lot more trade, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. We can export liquor, but there's not really a lot of demand for it. We can import iron, which we should definitely do. We'll import cheap iron from the Qing. We're dealing with our iron deficit. We really need clothing. Let's import cheap clothing from Egypt. We're about to go to war with, so we'll import it from the British. The nice thing about having a lot of excess bureaucracy is you can make those trade routes a lot easier. And then we'll just continue to build up our own markets in regards to all that kind of stuff. So we have more or less stuck ourselves. We just need more opium. I keep thinking that we have an excess of it, but we really don't. The government's attempt to pass the colonial exploitation law has brought the ethics of colonialism to the forefront of political debate. We're going to say it's morally correct. All right, Britain is beginning their play. Egypt's actually beating the British. I'm going to send an ambassador to Britain to just confirm all of our upstanding deals with them, just to make sure. Greetings!
We're raiding convoys.
This is the ambassador from Iran. We have noticed that the Russians have entered the war against the coalition.
Yes, they have decided to go to war, and we were betrayed by the French. They had promised to join against the Russians, but they back out at the last second. So right now we are fighting against them.
If you are able to secure a victory against Egypt, the Iranian government and Shah would like to gauge the interest in the British government in potentially a direct war of Russia regarding the Caucasus and potentially Russian territory in the east. We've already spoken with the governor of the East India Company, and they find this to be a very interesting proposal and one that they might support.
Yes, we would be interested in that, as they have shown themselves not to be a trustworthy government. So we would be interested in that.
In that case, the Iranian government will be formally modernizing our military and preparing for a conflict with the Russians at the end of the war that you have with Egypt, and we look forward to cooperating on that. Is there any assistance we can give to you at this time?
No, but we would recommend the Iranian government to remember the proposal that we gave them long ago, saying that the state of Iran would be better served by British officials, especially considering that France considers Russia a vital ally.
Who do the Russians have allies? Let's take a look at that. They have a defensive pact with Finland. They're hostile with the Americans and the Ottomans. They're friendly with the Egyptians. Let's go ahead and expand our influence in Arabia while we wait. We could directly conquer Yemen, to be honest. All right, they stood down. Wonderful. I just want to take all this while the Egyptians are busy, frankly. The Persian Gulf is really valuable trade-wise. So, long-term, I'd like to negotiate with the British to even potentially get them to give us the Trucial Coast, or administer it at least as an independent state, but we'd have to get in really good graces with them. They want us to basically come underneath into their market and become like a very big backer of them, and push out other influence of like France in our country. We're basically gonna kind of negotiate heavily to get there. I'm not fine with us doing that eventually, but we need to get a lot out of them. I want them to back us to take the Caucasus. I want them to be willing to give us Bukhara and Kokand, and I want them to transfer us to Trucial states. If we get all of that, I am open to becoming solely cooperative with the British, but we'll see. Hunger has become a dangerous problem for our nation as people from the state of Persian Yemen report they have absolutely nothing to eat. We'll give them emergency relief. We need even more convoys. My God. Okay. We're going to get general staff in 6 months, and then we're going to have a very, very strong military. If we can get shell guns, we'll be almost completely modernized and be able to go probably even toe-to-toe with the Russians at that point. Yeah. This is the diplomat from Iran. Were no goals taken from Egypt?
Crete.
But they are receiving war reparations.
And they're gonna have revanchism against me now.
No, we did want to bring up the issue with Zanzibar, but we were mainly here just to ask about what the situation might be on our previous request.
Okay, I might have a deal for this. So, the Portuguese and the Spanish are itching to get that territory back. They find it increasingly unacceptable. The public is not happy about that. And so they wanted to see if we can broker a deal between our two nations for the turn of that territory to the Portuguese in favor for something the Persians wishing for.
We reiterated that we're open to a deal with the Portuguese, but they've offered us money and military, neither of which particularly interest us. And we have said that if a territorial compromise could be made or a transfer, we'd be open to that.
What would you want in exchange? What territory would you be looking to gain?
Oh, I mean, one thing we might bring to mind is, for example, the Trucial states in Arabia. I know that's a British holding, but I know that you primarily got influence there to offset the pirates raiding your ships moving through, obviously, the Red Sea from India, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So one thing we might be interested in is we would be open potentially the transferring of Zanzibar to whoever it might concern if we could get the Trucial states under our direct control, obviously maintaining all the agreements to stop piracy, of course.
Does sound good to me. I think the agreement sound right now is carte blanche on Trucial states in exchange for British dominion over Zanzibar.
That would be completely agreeable to us.
Foreign Secretary, we have to speak. Diplomat of Iran. I believe the Prime Minister, there will be more that we want to talk about, especially after we have seen the true nature of the Russians and of the Egyptians. However, I first wish to speak with the Foreign Secretary to define a common foreign policy before we speak with the state of Iran.
Well, that is very unexpected, but a very nice agreement. So what happened was the Portuguese are getting really pissed about Zanzibar being, I guess, Iranian. As a result, we just brokered a deal where it's going to be transferred to the British, so it's not our problem anymore, and we're going to get transferred control of the Trucial states, meaning we'll have complete dominion of the Gulf, except for, obviously, the Trucial coast, which technically would be included in that deal. So then we just have to occupy Bahrain, and the Persian Gulf will be completely ours once we take Nesh, if we take Nesh. Let's try and go for a professional army again. We've struggled with this so many times, but it's worth another try. It'd be really useful in the coming war that we may have with the Russians here. So regarding that, the British are currently discussing if they want to conduct a war alongside us against Russia and what that might look like. So we're really just waiting for them to come back to us on that. I have a feeling that given they kind of more or less lost in Egypt, they're going to either say they don't want to do it or they want to do it, but they want to wait to be able to rebuild and modernize their military. It'll probably be one of the two. So we'll have to see what happens there. That'll kind of piss us off. I mean, given that we kind of stood down in the War of Egypt in order to get those concessions, potential for that war. So we might be able to leverage that for some more concessions from the British, especially given that they want us in their sphere and we're not opposed to it, but like we want stuff if we're going to move that direction. I'm gonna not make quite so many naval bases. We'll do another 5, that's what we'll do. We're exporting a lot of dice. Who are we exporting dice to? Primarily to the Ottomans and a little bit to the Germans. They're very profitable. Yeah, let's go ahead and expand our die production then.
This is an envoy from Egypt. I am here to invite you to a conference that I am going to be hosting with the Austrians and the Russians about the future of the Ottoman Empire. As a state bordering the Ottomans, I think it is at least in your interest to be present.
Well, they're gonna try and partition the Ottomans. We could take this as a time to get back Iraq, but that would put us at odds with some people that we really need to be friends with. So
if we're discussing the territory of the Ottomans, we might as well discuss all of the territory of the Ottomans, which is why I held this meeting to begin with. Anyway, welcome, envoy from Iran. I just want to state that it is not the goal of Egypt to see the Ottoman Empire destroyed, but rather territories it holds that we have interest in to no longer be under its control. I still wish to see a stable Ottoman state in
just a heads up, we have no interest in this. We're just a spy. That's all we are right now.
Depending on how things turn out.
How long? The Austrians, I assume, are looking for lands in the Balkans.
Yeah, the Austrians side.
Particularly Bosnia. The reason is Dalmatia, which is on the coast of Croatia, is very important to us.
Of course. And what are the Russians? I am curious what they will be demanding in this war.
In this war, we're not exactly sure what we're going to be demanding. It probably won't be much, but Regarding this war, we are looking to secure the double Japan handle to give it to Wallachia, which will promptly be unifying Romania.
If the Ottoman Empire is weakened too far, then the powers in Western Europe would likely just conquer them, and that would be worse than the current Ottoman presence.
Alright, then we drop the liberation of Bulgaria then.
Yes, yeah, I think that would weaken them.
I know that there is a bit of also cooperation between the Russians and the Egyptians, but I would remind you all that they have shown nothing but a proclivity towards just warlike expansion. We had to militarize and take Yemen as a response in order to stop all of Arabia falling underneath their control. And although I know this new Khedive claims to be different, he's already plotting a war, as you can clearly see. Perhaps a trip to London then. I know that we have met here in Vienna, but I have been given free rein by my Shah to conduct diplomatic missions here in Europe. What do you think of potentially trying to solve this diplomatically?
We can attempt it. I will say the Austrian and British relations are not the best, as Britain actually gave the North German Federation their support to form the United Germany, which we are opposed.
I completely understand the Austrian opinion on that, but again, there has been a lot of changes recently, and I think that perhaps things change very quickly. One thing I will say about the British, as well as the French, is that they are very realpolitik when it comes to their foreign policy. It's always very fluid, shall we say. This is the Austrian ambassador of the Iranian Shahdom. I'm here with the delegates from Austria at a recent conference that happened to try and discuss with the British and potentially cooling of relations here and seeing if we can find a more diplomatic outcome regarding some recent discussions that have happened.
Yes, we have read some of the letters that have been sent. We are very worried about...
It seems to me that the Egyptians are concerned primarily with not having connected territory and would potentially be interested in a deal wherein they exchange Aleppo for Adana. The Austrians have, it seems, a historical issue with the Bosnian region and wish to discuss the possibility of discussions... Oops, that's my pressing spacebar. Discussions with the Ottomans regarding that, and it appears that the Russians are seeking to conquer coastal territories. We just wish to see if perhaps the British could mediate this and we could get into a more diplomatic solution here.
We would be interested in mediating, just.
If these negotiations fail, we won't go to war. But we were just hoping we could get a treaty going. But
can you explain your position to the Ottoman delegation now that they are here?
Well, Dalmatia is very important to us, which is next to Bosnia. It has our fishing, a lot of fishing industries in Dalmatia, as well as a big part of our coastline, and we would like to secure its flank with Bosnia. And of course, the Ottoman and the Austrians don't have the best of relations, which means we cannot guarantee peace on that border at the moment, no matter what agreement we go to at the moment. And we are seeing if we could potentially buy the region or offer any concession the Ottomans would request.
It seems that both the Ottomans and you are both willing to do this, and again, there's other parties trying to just bring in other issues here. So if perhaps that we could make the non-aggression pact happen and get that treaty formally signified, and then we would be able to solve this potential issue.
Would anyone oppose? Which I don't think would matter, actually. I think that is just an issue regarding the Ottomans and Austrians. If not, we could...
The Ottoman delegation, are you in agreement on this?
Yep, that's good.
Wonderful. Hello there.
It is.
It's
Yes.
good to have a chance to speak alone.
Sorry?
I said it's nice for us to finally have a chance to speak without 100 ambassadors surrounding us.
Yes, of course, we appreciate that your delegation doesn't drink alcohol. That was, you have to spend much money on that, so thank you.
Of course.
Yes, regarding Russia, so we are currently in a tricky situation, if I must say. We are growing quite rapidly in economic terms, so, and I have to speak with the foreign secretary. I think what might work for now is that we help Iran industrialize. We help Iran get even more powerful through financial support. We could potentially establish something that we established in the Ottoman Empire. We could establish a British Iranian company.
So you are suggesting bankrolling Iran for the near term until a potential deal could be dealt with?
Yes, that's what I'm suggesting. Thank you.
We'd be open to it, but considering that, again, I'm going to be honest, we feel as though we have done a fair bit for you lately. We are, I suppose, a little disappointed that you're not willing to help us take back our territories, but we do understand it's a complicated situation.
It's not a matter of not wanting to do it. It's only a matter of we want to be practical about it, right? We don't want Iran to get into a war that might damage your country.
I understand. In that case, we would have a proposal as an alternative. We of course would long to have back the territories in the Caucasus and be able to help our Muslim brothers and sisters there. But given that we need to wait, we need to get stronger. Bankrolling is very nice of you to offer, and we would be very open to it. But perhaps as an alternative, you might be willing to support our expansion into the Baluchi states that we used to control, that were historically Iranian.
Where would that be?
Kalatz and Macron.
That would be alright. I think you have approval from London.
This is agreeable to us. Again, we are disappointed regarding Russia, but we understand patience is virtue, and as time goes by, Iran only gets stronger. So we will speak with the East India Company, and we are happy that you are willing and interested in continuing to cooperate with us, even though it is perhaps not the way that we would all like to have this go. So we came out of that not the way I expected. We've gotten a fuckload of little concessions and little bits of good things. I was wanting us to walk out of that having basically gotten the Ottomans and the Austrians to have stood down, to get Austria to be uninterested in Russian affairs, to sideline Russia in this whole affair, and facilitate a war with the Ottomans, us, and the British into Russia. I was hoping that's what we'd get. We didn't. We did manage to sideline Russia from those discussions. They got nothing out of that, which is good. We also stopped the Ottomans from getting invaded, so they actually kind of owe us right now, which I'm hoping they understand so we can call that in, like the fucking Godfather, you know? But the big things we got out of this is we managed to secure bankrolling from the British, investment capital from Britain. We managed to secure their backing of us taking the Baluchi region, which I actually didn't think we would manage to get, but it looks like we're going to be able to leverage this whole situation to secure the Baluchi region, which is very prosperous and very valuable, as well as the securing of Bahrain. So, not what I wanted to happen, but I'm walking out of this pretty happy. I mean, this really helped Iran. Again, like the Grand Vizier of Iran, he's a very political guy. He's got lots of connections in Europe, so all this makes sense. I mean, he's a really interesting guy. I'm role-playing like a historical person for the Grand Vizier, Abdul Hassan. So yeah, we're walking out of this in pretty good shape, I gotta say. We're just gonna start a play. They're probably gonna back down. So let's just do this really quick. All right, what do we need now? Just more opium. Always more opium. Our exports on that are just monstrous. They back down. Good. May you side with the Germans? No, we're not getting involved with this. We'll support them. I mean, we already trade with them. But no, we do not want to get involved in this war. We're in a really good state, and we've done it by just very careful diplomacy. We're going to take Macron, we'll take Kalat, and then, yeah, be in really good shape. We need to raise more revenue. What I'd really like to do is change taxation to per capita. Speaking of the devil. All right, let's try and get that passed. We'll work on that when we're done with railways. We really need railways. A lot of our goods in the mountains of Khorasan, like all our dyes and opium, we're not getting it to port because we don't have the infrastructure right now, so we need it so badly. 21 months, then we'll have railways. That'll be huge.
Holiness. I'm an advisor of the Holiness, a diplomat, to be frank.
Ah, Ambassador, welcome to Tehran. What brings the Papal States to Iran?
As you know, the Papal States grew not only in territory, but as well as in the economical power and our industry. And we have now some gaps that I want to fill. The Pope wants to do an opium deal with a nation that produces it.
The Papal State is looking to buy Iranian opium.
Yes, that's right.
I must say that is quite unexpected. Although we are very, very open, and I will warn you, we are having actually trouble with the quantities that we're trying to export right now as we can't get it out of the mountains.
How much could you offer? Let me ask it like that. How much could you offer?
Well, quite a lot. As I said, we are just continuing to expand, and we made a deal with the British. We're going to be securing Kalat, which brings up even more opium fields to us. So, frankly, a significant amount.
We would need 100 to 300.
This is very doable. We'd be very open to doing that.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you for your time. All right, we're finishing the logging camps, and then we're going to do more opium. Until we get railways, though, this opium just isn't really useful for us. So I think actually I'm going to cancel all this. Because although we need more opium to export until we get railways built into these mountains, it's basically just useless. So we might as well work on other stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of opium though. We make a lot of money on it. Look how profitable that papal route we have is. We're making so much money off of exporting opium to the Pope and the Papal States right now. It's kind of ridiculous. All the cardinals are just like smoking opium that's made in Iran. It's great. 19th century narco state. Pretty much, yeah. Let's build 2 universities. We'll start with that. We've got the money for it. The Shah is just permanently in an opium coma, and the Grand Vizier is a reformer, so he'd want things like that. We actually got per capita taxation. That is fucking huge. Look at that income. We can actually lower our taxes. My God. Cool. So we switched to per capita taxation, given that the Grand Vizier wants to obviously put the nobles in their place and the landowners in their place, so we're taxing them more heavily. We're going to use those funds to expand the country more. So we're going to build up more universities. We'll build up to 5 in the capital. And then when we're done with that, we are going to pay off all of our debt. When we don't have any more interest that we're paying, we are then going to spend that on the construction sites, and then as soon as we get railways, we're just going to undergo a massive building up of railways all across our country. It's going to be huge. We have a bigger economy than Brazil, than the Papal States, than Portugal, than Mexico. We're not far behind the Ottomans either at this point. Look at their economy, right? And then look at ours. We're also stagnating. But that's because we have a bottleneck from railways. As soon as we get railways, our economy is just going to blow up. I'm really trying to not sound like Donald Trump about these railways, but I also can't undersell the fact that these railways are going to be great. I mean, they are. They're going to be huge. They're going to be big and beautiful. You're going to be able to see them from space. They're going to be fantastic. And we're going to make the Russians pay for them. So there's really no downside here. Well, really, we'll probably make the French, the Prussians, and the British pay for them because they're the ones who are currently bankrolling our country. For opium, but we're gonna build railroads instead. He formed the Kingdom of Heaven. Oh shit. Italy formed. It's the Kingdom of Heaven now. We got railways. Yes. My God, it's fucking huge.